Hey everyone, Ken here with Ken's Creations and Chalk Couture. Many of you know I like to take our Chalk Couture displays and create beautiful pieces of artwork. Today, I'm going to show you how to make this fresh herbs display. So, of course, you're going to need the E-size fresh herb transfer. You'll also need 2 of the 6.5 by 18.5 box frames and 2 of the 9 by 12 box frames. In addition, you'll need 6 board and base. Now, I'm very fortunate. I used the board part in another project, so I had 6 of the bases, but they work perfect as a surface when we glue them together. So let's go ahead and get started with some of our supplies. We have our 4-inch squeegee, the small and mini squeegee. We'll need placement tape, our multi-tool, and of course, my fuzzing cloth. I love the fuzzing cloth. Now, Chalkology paste colors we're using is black velvet and white linen. That's it. So let's get started with this project. This project has so many pieces to it, so we want to make sure our fresh herbs are all marked. The first thing I will do is concentrate on the 6.5 by 18.5 boards. I will write all of the herbs on the back of the transfers. Now, our transfer backings have a very glossy side and a flat side. So you want to make sure these go on the right side, but it also lets you know what pieces go with what. Now, we are using our box frames. Now, these are a wood frame, and our silk screens are very, very sticky. So you want to make sure you over fuzz these. Normally, I fuzz brand new transfers between 3 and 5 times. This was probably between 5 and 8 times. If you do not do this, you risk removing a little bit of that finish from our box frames, which you do not want to do. So I highly suggest over fuzzing these like 8 times. I'm not kidding. Then you'll notice I am just measuring it to make sure we have it perfectly placed. I'll grab that black velvet Chalkology paste. Now, I used the mini squeegee because we get really close to those edges. And a little tip for you, even though our paste is removable, on this bright white box frame, if you accidentally get a little bit of that black velvet on there, it potentially can stain that wood. So really use caution on the sides. And if you have some wet wipes, just clean your fingers in between each of the transfers. Another great tip for you is to peel these slowly. Because of the finish on our box frames, sometimes if you peel too fast, it can remove that finish. So when you are peeling straight up towards the sky and a little towards you, go very, very slowly. And you should not remove any of that finish. But look at the detail this fresh herb has. And with this black velvet paste, it really pops off these boards. I just love the finished look. I always put a lot of the paste on at first, and then I remove the excess. This way you have a little bit more time to work to get into those little tiny areas and not hit the sides. But look at these 2 side pieces. These are, again, the 6.5 by 18.5 frames. Look at the box frames. They look beautiful. We will dry this on a cool setting of a hair dryer, and now we can turn our attention on the 9 by 12 frames that go in the middle of our display. So let's bring those into view here. Now we have a bottom of the display and a top of the display. First thing we'll do is write all of the different herbs on the back so we know what backings go what transfer. I cannot stress this enough, guys. Normally I would say 3 to 5 times fuzzing. On our box frames, definitely at least 8. The finish on our box frames is great, but if you do not fuzz it perfectly, sometimes it can remove that finish and leave a little bit of your silk screen behind, which is really sad. Now, I spend a lot of time on these, making sure the measurements are just perfect. I wanted them about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of my box frame and perfectly centered. So, of course, I wanted them about 2 inches from each of the sides for the mint and dill. And then, of course, basil perfectly centered in between those. Once I have everything centered where I want to, I'm going to add the black Chalkology paste and remove all the excess. I cannot stress it enough, in between each of these, use a wet wipe to get all of your paste off your fingers. You do not want to get any of that paste on that white because it will not come off. But look at how amazing. We're going to finish it with a nice cool setting on our hairdryer and turn our attention to the top portion of these boards. Now, these box frames are absolutely amazing. I love the black on that white. They are also double-sided, so you can actually use the back, which is a darker color wood, so the white paste really pops on that. Once again, as I did on the bottom, I'm going to pay very close attention to my measurements. I wanted to make sure that I'm 1/4 of an inch down from the top, about 2 inches from the outside of the frame to the center of each of those herbs. Once I have it exactly where I want, I can put the time in the middle. These boards are 12 inches, so the middle is right at 6 inches, so it's pretty easy to measure that one. Now, I will put the paste on pretty thick, and then you can always remove the excess and put it back in the jar. That's what makes these 3 ounces of paste actually go a long way. You don't use much on your projects. You will see I clean my fingers after every single transfer to make sure I do not have any black that can get on that beautiful bright white of these box frames. Once again, when removing it, you want to make sure you peel straight up and slow, because that way you will avoid any stretching of your transfer. But look at how amazing they look. We can turn our attention now to the center portion where we will have fresh herbs, and I will walk you through this process. Now for this process, we'll be using 6 of the bases from board end of the base and the Ryobi hot glue gun. I love this hot glue gun. Not only does it get super hot, so you have time to work, but it dries pretty quickly once it sets. I will take 4 of the bases from the board and base and put the 2 channels facing each other, add a strip of glue, and then on both ends add a pretty ample amount of glue, stick this together, and let it set. We still need to add 2 more of the bases on the top and bottom, but I want to make sure they are perfectly center. So this is where our placement tape comes in. I measured the base from the board and base, figured out it's about 7 inches. So I wanted the tape to be at 3.5 inches, and I can line it up perfectly centered with the line in between my other bases. This way we know it is centered on top and bottom. I can now add the glue to the channel, line that tape up with the line in the center of the other board and bases, and it is perfect every time. It's funny, the placement tape is actually to place your letters on our alphabet sets, but I pretty much use it for everything but that, and it comes in so handy for other things, exactly as you see now. Now we can turn our attention to putting our fresh herb transfer in the center. We'll write fresh herbs on the back, and once again, fuzz, 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 about 8 times. Even though our board and base is a dark wood, it's actually just a finish, and if it's too sticky on a new transfer, it can remove your finish. Nice little tip there for you. Grab that fresh linen, which actually is a perfect match on our box frames for the white on the box frames. Remove the excess, put it back into the jar, and this turned out amazing. I love how well this pops on that dark finish of the board and base. Grab that hairdryer in the cool setting and make sure we have this nice and set. And we just have to now put everything together. So we have both of our 6.5 by 18.5 box frames and 9 by 12 box frames. Grab that Ryobi glue gun, apply an ample amount, push it together just using your hands, and I'm going to give you a little trick here. Use a good strip of Ryobi glue on the back, grab one of our mini squeegees, and spread that glue all over that joint there. And guess what? That hot glue just wipes right off our squeegees. I love our product. And you have a nice seal then on the back there to make sure it's secure and will not fall apart. Measure your 6.5 by 18.5 box frames. Make sure you have it in centered. Once again, use that placement tape to align it perfectly in between those 2 other box frames. You'll notice I'll do the same on this end. So this way, when you're gluing it, you just center it up with that line, and it is perfect every time. Grab your Ryobi glue gun, apply a lot of glue, attach it to the side, push with just your hands. We're going to do the same to the left side. Just apply a good ample amount of that Ryobi glue onto your box frame. Push it onto the side, line up that placement tape, and voila. Who wants to see my tip again? Let's turn this display over, grab the Ryobi glue gun, add an ample amount of hot glue onto the joints there, and then just use our mini squeegee and spread that hot glue everywhere. These squeegees, the hot glue literally just wipes off. I love our product, so versatile, and you know you have that extra structure there with that glue to make sure those joints are nice and secure together. I'll use a cool setting once again, make sure that hot glue is nice and dry to the touch, and we can just flip the display over. It's solid, it's not gonna break apart. Time to add the focal point. Once again, I grab that placement tape to find a perfect center. So when I'm placing the fresh herb part, it is perfectly centered onto the board. And, oh yeah, I'm grabbing my Ryobi glue gun, add a lot of glue to this portion, and we just need to put our board and base creation right there in center. And it gives you a little bit of time to move it around. So if you don't have it centered, you can actually move that up and down. Remove the placement tape, and voila, let's take a closer look. Oh my gosh, guys, look how amazing it looks. I hope you enjoyed how you can use all of our Chalk Couture surfaces out of the box to create something stunning. Just look at this in the kitchen with herbs on each side of it. So amazing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like my Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All of your product links are down below. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. Thanks, everyone. Bye.